Hi, this is Raj from MR Sportscars. In this video, I'm going to talk about one specific question that I get asked about a lot, which is, I would like an open-top Porsche. Which one should I go for? Either the 981 Boxster or what I have down this end, a 991 911 convertible. Both have their own individual merits. The biggest one, obviously, with the 911 is that it has 4 seats. They both have electric hoods, which you can operate with the key or obviously in the car or at speed. So this is the 911 one coming down, so you can see inside, and you can see those rear seats. So they're not huge, but they are usable, especially with young kids. As long as you've got small legs, you're not too tall, so you hit the roof with it when it's up. They are usable, and you can also use that as a small storage area if you haven't got kids, so that makes it very useful. The front boots are very similar in size. So there's the 991 one, it goes all the way to the floor, so you've got lots of room in the front, and then, as I said, in the back you've got that area there if you're not using it with kids. With the Boxster, you've got 2 boot areas. So you've got the front one, which, as I said, is very similar to the 991 in size, all the way to the floor as well. Same setup, tools at the sides, battery there, brake fluids, screen wash. That side of it is all been constructed pretty much identically on both cars. But where you have 4 seats in the 911, you just have 2. And if all you need is 2 seats, then I would say that maybe the Boxster is the one to consider, because you have this extra boot here, which actually fits golf clubs in as well. Whereas in the 911, you have to have golf clubs in the cabin. You can't put them in the front boot, unfortunately. You may have seen some other videos of me doing demonstrations of how to fit golf clubs in these cars. The other big thing to consider is the engine position, so an engine size. So the biggest engine you can get in the Boxster S here is a 3.4, and the smallest engine is a 2.7, both flat 6s in this era, so 2012 to 2015. In the 991, the smallest engine is the 3.4, very similar to the 3.4 S Boxster engine, but it is different. Or the bigger engine, which this one has, is the 3.8. The 3.8 will do 60 with Sport Chrono Package Plus in around 4.2, has 400 horsepower, hugely powerful unit, lots of torque. The Boxster S unit is the 3.4 litre flat 6 that has 315 horsepower, and it will do, with the same options, Sport Chrono Package Plus, PDK, it will do 60 in around 4.3, 4.4, so ever so slightly slower. But the big thing to consider is where the engine is. So in the Boxster, it's mid-engined. It's then more inherently balanced. It feels easier to drive and drive fast around corners. The 911, you have to work a bit harder because it is right at the rear of the car. Porsche have done some amazing things at making it feel balanced, and it does feel incredibly balanced. It doesn't feel dangerous, but the Boxster will always feel more inherently balanced through corners. It will have more dynamic feel at lower speeds, for sure. The Boxsters are only available as rear-wheel drive. The 911s, that one is rear-wheel drive that I've just shown you, the black one, but you could also get it in 4-wheel drive as well. So again, that's a little bit extra added security in terms of road holding in winter. But again, the tyres are so wide on all of these cars. I think, let's have a look at them in here. So here, they're 9.5 inches wide on that Boxster S at the rear, 8 inches at the front. On the 911, 11 inches wide, 8.5 at the front. All 20, they're 20 inches, these are 19s, but you could get 20 inches on the Boxster. In terms of options, you could get the same options on both cars within reason. So things like carbon interiors, different colours, different colour hoods, different grades of leather. The 911s tend to be slightly higher spec, but it's only because they came with extended leather as standard. They came with the Alcantara roof lining and things like that as standards. The Boxster, you had to spec up things like the extended leather afterwards and pay extra for it. Also, PASM was optional on the Boxster, but if you got an S model 911, then it came as standard. So you could get a very high spec Boxster, but it had to have been a lot of boxes ticked to get it up to a similar spec of a 911. And then 911s can go obviously higher spec depending on people ticking boxes like Sport Chrono, Sports Exhaust, that kind of thing, which were all available on this car as well. Now, in terms of how they feel, I would normally drive these two cars, but both are, well, the black convertible is sold, so I don't want to drive that one until, well, it has to go. Basically, it's going to a new owner, so I'm not going to drive that one for a driving review. The Boxster S is hopefully, it's being viewed today, hopefully that will sell today as well. So I'm not going to drive them, but I can tell you that the Boxster and the 911 are great weekend cars, but also they're great long distance cars. So both feel incredibly comfortable. They actually share most of the cabin in terms of all of the layout. The only difference is the top of the dash. So I'll show you this. It's got sort of like squared off vents. All of this is the same in the 911. Seat options are the same, steering wheels are the same, even the gear selector, even the stereo systems are the same, just with a different number of speakers. The 911, the big difference is the top of the dash has got a different design of air vents. The rest is the same. Door cards, steering wheel. It's just that top of the dash is a different design. Same cup holder design, same center, same seats. So they both feel extremely comfortable when you're behind the wheel and as a passenger. But I would say the 911 with its slightly longer wheelbase, and I'll just compare that actually, wheelbases. So you've got wheelbases 2450. Actually, the Boxster's got a slightly longer wheelbase, 2475. So this feels incredibly stable through corners, I'd say, the Boxster, because it's got that little bit longer wheelbase. It's slightly lighter as well, 1350 versus 1465 kilos. And the width, 1808 versus 1801. So they're about the same width, even though the 911 does look wider. I would say they're both actually great behind the wheel, GT and high performance driving, grand touring and high performance for sure. The Boxster just feels better balanced, in all honesty. That's the way I would describe it. It's worth driving both if you've got the budget for both. Obviously, price may be a big factor in which one you end up getting, because the Boxsters are on average, let me think about these two cars. So they're on average around 15 to 20k cheaper for the equivalent car. So that might make a big difference to your decision, is the price. But whichever way you decide to go in terms of which open top sports car from Porsche you want to buy, you can't really make a bad decision, because they are both fantastic. They're both the high point for me, the 981 and the 991, so 2012 to 2015, because they were all naturally aspirated, with the exception of the 911 Turbo. Flat sixes, they both sound sensational, and as I said, you can spec them up to a similar level. It's just you might have to work a bit harder now to find a higher spec Boxster than a 911, but that's the way it is. We always try and find the highest spec cars we can, with obviously all the provenance history, everything that should be there, as well as the condition being fantastic as well. And there is just something very special about an open top car. You get much more involvement with your surroundings, and that's why I would recommend buying. If you're thinking about getting an open top car, you can live with caring for the mohair hoods, then buy a Porsche open top sports car. Thanks for watching.